Good morning. Ohayo gozaimasu. It's very nice to be here for this special Gotan service. I'd like to thank Reverend Oshita for inviting me. I'd like to thank the Sacramento Betsuin Sangha for hosting me so that I'm able to come here. I'm here from the Idaho, Oregon Buddhist Temple, temporarily. So it's very nice to be here. Special time. Oshita Sensei was mentioning my father serving here, and my father was 63 years old when he passed away. So we think that's so young, and that's the age I am now. So sometimes I feel so. He looked and said, well, you're not doing anything with your body or your life, so I'll just take over and continue on with my work. So I come here and more than a few people say, oh, you look just like your father. And so I take that as a compliment. My wife was not able to come with me today. She was going to join us this morning, but something happened that she needed to take care of. So she called me this morning, reminding me, don't forget to smile. Say hi to everybody. Don't forget, okay? So I thought I'd take a little bit of time to share Idaho, Oregon Buddhist Temple so you'll know what kind of place, where I've been for the last dozen years, what kind of temple, what kind of area. So Idaho, Oregon Buddhist Temple is in eastern Oregon. So if you have a map of Oregon, we're right on the eastern border, dead center. Okay, from the temple, I could walk to Idaho. So the temple is in Oregon, I could walk to Idaho. That's how close we are. The closest large city is Boise, the capital of Idaho. So if I need to fly down to California, I'll drive 1 hour to Boise, and from there we fly to Sacramento or the Bay Area, Oakland, or wherever I need to go. So it's a farm community over there. They grow onions and potatoes and grain and wheat. So a lot of farmers, after the war, it was a free zone. And so people had settled there before the war. People relocated and had lost everything. So people that were there said, well, why don't you come? The land is good and you can farm with us over here. So when I went there initially, I had no idea they had such a large Japanese-American community over there, but there were so many families that had moved there from the Seattle area, from the Portland area. Others came up from Salt Lake City area, and so there's connections all through Buddhist Churches of America and the Japanese communities. A couple years ago, there's a small community called Brogan, and they established a Japanese garden to honor all the people, the Japanese Americans who had settled there. And so they made a plaque, and every single name, Japanese family name who settled in the Brogan area is listed there. And during this dedication, they said, the Japanese farmers elevated the farming techniques in this area and kick-started everything, advancing it 20 years, over 20 years. And so because of that, their economy grew and flourished because of the contributions of the Japanese farmers that were there. So they are very much appreciated in that area. The temple itself has been there about 48 years. And because it's a farm community, there's a lot of onion growers and onion sheds. And if you know onions, they put them into bins, these wooden bins, and they're huge, like 5 feet by 4 feet by 3 feet high. And they fill them up with onions and keep them in these sheds. So last week, we had our Gotan service that goes along with Mother's Day over there. And on the first Saturday of May, we have this temple yard sale that we've done as a fundraiser. And it just so happened the first time that the first Saturday and the second Sunday are right next to each other. So busy on both days. And the yard sale, when we first started it, we don't want just a temple yard sale. We want it to be big. So we called it the gigantic wabi-sabi yard sale, right? And boy, it was gigantic. So this is going on for 5 years, and not just to have the regular yard sale, just the average yard sale. We had this special name to be gigantic, and wabi-sabi is something to make people wonder what it was, deeper values, continuing life, useful existence in ordinary, everyday, mundane things. Moving on to another life of its own, to another family. And all these things was going on in this gigantic wabi-sabi yard sale. And to add to this, the onion bins from the area, initially the women were in charge of this yard sale. And after about 3 years, the men, it was their turn to chair. And so one of them is the head person of this huge onion, not factory, but storage shed, okay? So he says, why don't we get some onion bins and stack them up there and make a wall? And so they brought onion bins, like 2 semis full of onion, 150 onion bins, these huge things, 2 forklifts, and they're moving all these, and they create this wall, like the Great Wall of China in Ontario, okay? And so they're like 4 onion bins tall, so like up to the lights, the top lights there. And people can see through the slats that something's going on, but they can't get in there. And so instead of dragging everything out in the morning, we could set it up the whole week, and we're protected. And then when Saturday comes, we move a couple rows of onion bins, and it opens to the public, right? So when we finally open, people are waiting. They're anticipating, and this huge wall, it's like the size of this hondo, the inside space. And people are looking and waiting, like the beginning of a marathon. They're all ready to race in there to come to this gigantic wabi-sabi yard sale. And the weather was a big concern. The weather's, it might be raining, might be windy, might be hail. And, the radio, television, internet, newspaper, each had all these predictions. One of the members says, watch Channel 6, they have the best news, so the best weather. So maybe if we watch Channel 6, we'll have good weather. And so the temple president and I are standing in the parking lot looking up. This is Thursday, Friday. Gee, I hope it doesn't rain. And our farmers are standing out in their field 1 mile away going, gee, I sure hope it rains. So we had these mixed feelings. I was there Thursday, Friday, going, Nam-myo Ho-renge Kyo, Nam-myo Ho-renge Kyo. I hope it doesn't rain, right? Saturday came, no rain. Nam-manda, Nam-manda. So we lucked out with perfect weather. And we had this very successful, it's big. I mean, we have riding lawnmowers and mattresses and furniture and all kinds of fishing equipment and lots and lots of things. And people know we have good things, so they come back again and they recognize the name, so they return. So towards the end of the day of the yard sale, these 2 older women are looking around. They're looking at a shower chair for handicapped, disabled people. Right? And they had been browsing. They looked at one thing, changed their mind, looked at another thing, changed their mind, and now they're looking at this shower chair. How much would you take for that chair? And it was old and wobbly, dusty white with cobwebs on the legs, and looked like it had been sitting in someone's shed for a dozen years. Well, it's kind of tippy. I don't know if it's safe, so I don't want you to get hurt. So, oh, my husband can fix it. You just tighten those things underneath. So, okay, how about $2. And she looked at me, and her eyes got soft and appreciative. She said, really? God bless you. And so she handed me $2. I smiled and walked away thinking, we don't say that around here. So the reason we have this event and other fundraisers is that so the values of Shin Buddhism can continue to touch the lives of people here and new ones who have never heard of it before. People want to find stability and truth in their lives. Those who find stability and truth also find that there's a grounding force, and from there, they're able to live with depth of purpose for themselves. People like to come to conclusions, and oftentimes you'll hear people say, family is most important, community is most important, giving back is most important. And Buddhism urges us to look deeper, look deeper. There's a deeper perspective than your own point of view, so look deeper. We're urged to find perspective beyond the self, beyond our own. When people find this deeper perspective, then we have a deeper appreciation for the temple and for the teachings. We want the temple and the teachings to continue for ourselves and for others that we may not even know. So we become members. We donate time. We donate money. Some of us place the temples in our wills as a comfortable way to let it continue to touch people that we couldn't touch otherwise. Each of these becomes expressions of gratitude that come from our own deepening awareness of life itself. As today is Gotan-e, why do we connect to the temple? Why do we connect to this temple? We can look at why. Why Shinshu? Why Shinshu Buddhism? Why Shinran? Why Shinran's teachings? Why do we look to Jodo Shinshu Buddhism over any other form of Buddhism? Some of us were born into Shin Buddhist families. Continuing to be Shin Buddhist ourselves provides us with a sense of connection to our parents, grandparents, maybe generations, centuries of family connections before. Some of us have come to the temple just because we found this temple. We may have read or heard teachings or quotes from the Dalai Lama, Thich Nhat Hanh, other writers of Buddhist words. We might be familiar with Tibetan or Zen Buddhist or other traditions. Maybe we find friends or good people here who make it comfortable for us to be here. Why Shinshu? Sometimes people say, I like Shinshu because we say everyday life is our practice. We can meditate, but we don't have to. We can take classes, but we don't have to. We live with awareness and appreciation just as we are, and I like that. Others might say, I like Shinshu because it connects me to family history. Coming from another country, through currents of change, through time, social, political, economic pressures swirling through the lives of families and friends and generations. All the while, Shinshu and the quiet connective power of the Nembutsu was voiced and transmitted from life to life, from heart to heart. I like being a part of that. Still others might say, I like Shinshu because it's a grassroots Buddhism. It's a teaching and a practice available to more people than ever before, available to all beings and not just a select few. Shinshu tells us that there is infinite compassion and that we're a part of that compassion. Saying our Nembutsu is not a belief, but a process of our interaction with the movement of compassion in the universe. It's a beautiful interpretation of life. It's so simple, but it's so deep, and I like that. There are different expressions and different reasons as to why Shinshu path resonates with different people. Some people don't care, don't take the time, don't see, or don't understand, and that's okay. I prefer to surround myself with people on the same frequency, same vibration, same depth. I prefer to share these values. Why Shindan? Some people might say, I like Shindan because he was the first monk to get married and have a family, just like the new families we have here. He moved away from the restrictions of being a monk. His teacher Honen told him to do whatever was necessary to keep the reciting of the Nembutsu in his life. If being married and living the life of a homeowner is more fitting to keep the Nembutsu, then do that. If living like a monk with all the restrictions of being a monk is more conducive to your Nembutsu, then do that. It's not your station of life that's important. It's the Nembutsu that's important. And that's what Shindan showed us. This is how Shindan helped to open the doors to Buddhism to everyone. And I like that. Others might say, he showed us in his life and in his writings about hakarai, the calculating mind. Calculating mind is always active. When are we not calculating? Every minute, every second, my mind is calculating what to do, what's next, what's best for me. The calculating mind is proof that the ego is always there, constantly working, blocking our connection with reality. Shindan showed us that our connection to reality is veiled by the constant workings of the ego. This points out the truth of the teachings, and I like that. Truth and reality that we call Amida is all around us, but we can't see it because of our calculating minds. Wow. Still others might say, what was helpful for me was that Shindan had doubts and failures while he was living as a monk on Mount Hiei. Then, when he learned the Nembutsu teachings, his students also had doubts and failures when they tried to make sense of the Nembutsu teachings. Then, my own misunderstandings and difficulties in learning were the same as theirs. It was a continuation of the same process that is ongoing in every person, in myself, in you. We're like the others, and they're just like me. Our limitations become the proof that the Nembutsu is the movement of compassion, awakening all beings along the way. It's like our own lives become part of the movement of compassion through the universe. And I like that. There are many reasons why that we come to appreciate and recognize in why Shinshu, why Shindan. We want to nurture this mind and heart that connects to truth, connects to reality. We want to allow the time and place for this, for ourselves and for others. This is why we have such things as the gigantic wabi-sabi yard sale, Gotan air service, Ochigo parades, Hatsumairi, and all these events that we put here at the temple to continue to have this temple, to have a place for these families, to remind each of us to find something deeper in each of our lives, something grounding, something humbling, something meaningful. The temple plays a very important role, and I'm very happy to see so many families here participating in that, and I like that. So again, thank you very much for letting me speak to you on this Gotan air service. Gradually, I'll remind myself, and you remind me too, of names that faded away in the past and are coming back to me. Lots of familiar faces there here, and I think, gee, I should know them. And so it'll take a process for me to refamiliarize myself with everyone and the location and all of these things, and with your help, with your support and guidance, we'll try to make it as smooth a transition as we can. Thank you very much.